The Varaxian dreadnought Eternal Conquest emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Sol system, its crystalline hull still bearing the battle scars from 17 conquered worlds. The massive vessel resembled a predatory insect crafted from obsidian and chrome, its segmented body bristling with weapon ports that glowed with a sickly violet light. On the command deck, Admiral Kalzan watched Earth's blue sphere through narrowed compound eyes, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the ambient illumination. He absently fingered the collection of alien skulls adorning his ceremonial armor, trophies from species now extinct. Another primitive world to cleanse, he remarked to his second-in-command, Vorthax, a battle-scarred veteran whose left side was now mostly cybernetic after their last conquest. The reports suggest they've barely achieved interplanetary travel. Vorthax's mechanical eye whirred as it focused. The Emperor grows impatient with these minor conquests, Admiral. He expects the resources of this system to fuel our expansion into the galactic core. The Emperor will have his resources, Kalzan replied, his mandibles clicking with irritation. This system contains abundant heavy metals and water. The biological specimens will make acceptable additions to our labor pools before final processing. Their advanced scout ships, sleek and predatory, reported unusual energy fluctuations from Earth's orbital defenses. Intrigued, Kalzan ordered a detailed scan of Earth's newest vessel, the UES Defiant, currently performing maneuvers near Mars. Curious design, Kalzan mused, studying the human ship through the viewport. The vessel was angular and utilitarian, lacking the organic mechanical integration that characterized Varaxian engineering. It shows no appreciation for the aesthetics of conquest. The holographic readout materialized before the command staff, displaying the ship's specifications. The Varaxian science officer, Taz Kalim, a spindly figure with elongated digits, specialized for delicate instrumentation, laughed dismissively. Their railguns are primitive kinetics, he reported, scrolling through the data with evident disdain. Their shields couldn't withstand even our smallest cruiser's weapons, and that propulsion system, it's barely better than solar sailing. Sub-Commander Nexival, head of intelligence operations, nodded in agreement. Their communications are not even encrypted by our standards. We've already extracted their tactical databases. Kalzan studied the readout more carefully, noticing something odd about the ship's power distribution. Energy signatures pulsed in unexpected patterns, flowing through the vessel's systems in ways their analysts couldn't quite explain. Before he could inquire further, his intelligence chief interrupted. Admiral, we've intercepted their communications, Nexival announced. They're calling this their flagship, their best technology. Their military leaders speak of it with great pride. The command deck erupted in chittering laughter. Kalzan silenced them with a raised claw, his instincts honed by centuries of conquest warning him against overconfidence. Complacency leads to extinction, he reminded his officers, quoting an ancient Varaxian military axiom. Scan the vessel again. I want to understand this. Inefficient power distribution. Taz Kalim bowed deferentially. Of course, Admiral. Though I assure you it's merely evidence of their primitive engineering. They likely don't understand the principles of quantum resonance. The conquest fleet is assembled and awaiting your command, Vorthax reported. Shall we begin the standard approach? The purification beams can cleanse their orbital defenses within hours. Kalzan's gaze lingered on the small blue planet and its seemingly insignificant defender. Something about the Defiance nagged at his instincts. But after 17 successful conquests, perhaps he was becoming unnecessarily cautious. Prepare the harvest fleet, he finally ordered, suppressing his unease. Let's add another skull to our collection. The first wave of Varaxian fighters swarmed toward the UES Defiance like metallic locusts, their energy cannons charging with a violet glow. 36 attack craft in perfect formation, each piloted by veterans of multiple planetary extinctions. They communicated in tight beam transmissions, sharing tactical data and targeting solutions with cold efficiency. Primitive vessel detected, the squadron leader reported. Weapons locked. Anticipate disintegration in first salvo. On the Defiance's bridge, Captain Elena Reyes sat motionless in her command chair, eyes closed, neural interface nodes pulsing at her temples. The bridge was eerily silent. No shouted orders, no frantic activity. Each officer remained similarly still at their stations, neural implants glowing with subtle blue light. "They've taken the bait," she whispered to her crew, her voice barely audible yet clearly transmitted through their neural connection. 23 seconds to weapons range, wait for my mark." In her mind's eye, Reyes could feel the presence of her crew, 50 men and women networked into a single consciousness while still maintaining their individual expertise. Lieutenant Commander Jackson Chen, weapons officer, mentally prepared the ship's primitive railguns while appearing dormant. In engineering, Dr. Amara Singh's consciousness flowed through the reactor systems, making minute adjustments invisible to external scans. "Their weapons are charging," Chen's thoughts filtered through the neural link. "Standard dissipation pattern. Shields ready for absorption protocol," came the calm mental voice of Lieutenant Kyoko Tanaka, defense systems specialist. "They're targeting exactly where we predicted." "Remember," Reyes reminded them all through the neural web, "we need to draw in their entire first wave. Earth is counting on us learning everything we can about their attack patterns." From the Varaxian command ship, Admiral Kalzan observed the approaching engagement with growing unease. "Why aren't they taking evasive action?" he muttered. "Their sensors must be even more primitive than we thought," Vorthak suggested. "Perhaps they haven't detected our fighters yet." The Varaxian fighters opened fire, energy weapons lancing toward the Defiance in a coordinated strike designed to overwhelm any defensive system. Each beam struck the human vessel precisely on target, and then seemed to disappear into the hull without effect. No explosions, no breaches, not even a flicker in their power signature. On the Varaxian command ship, tactical officers stared in disbelief at their readouts. "Impossible," Vorthax barked. "Scan again." Before they could adjust their sensors, Captain Reyes opened her eyes on the Defiance's bridge. Now. The transformation was immediate and complete. Hull plates that had appeared solid reconfigured themselves, revealing weapon ports where none had been detected. The supposedly primitive railguns swiveled with impossible precision. But what they fired weren't solid projectiles. They discharged compressed packets of dark energy that passed through the Varaxian shields as if they weren't there. 3 cruisers exploded simultaneously, their exotic alloy hulls shredding like paper. A 4th spun out of control, venting atmosphere and crew into the void. The fighters scattered, their perfect formation dissolving into chaos as weapons they had never encountered ripped through their ranks. On his flagship, Admiral Kalzan gripped his command console, mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. "What in the 7 hells just happened?" Science Officer Tazakalim's voice trembled as he reported. "Admiral, our scans. They show the human vessel is changing. It's not the same ship anymore. Its configuration, weapons, everything. It's all different." "Impossible," Kalzan breathed. "Nothing can change its fundamental structure that quickly." As the remaining Varaxian ships attempted to regroup, Captain Reyes stood on the Defiance's bridge, a thin smile on her lips. The neural link hummed with the collective satisfaction of her crew as data from the encounter flowed through their shared consciousness, already adapting their tactics for the next engagement. "Pursue and engage," she ordered, her calm voice belying the ship's sudden acceleration toward the heart of the Varaxian fleet. "Let's show them what humanity's first neural integrated combat vessel can really do." "Play it again." Admiral Kalzan watched the holographic replay of the battle for the 12th time, mandibles clicking in agitation. The Defiant seemed to morph before his eyes, transforming from a seemingly primitive vessel into something unknowable. His claws dug into the armrests of his command chair, leaving deep gouges in the metallic surface. "Freeze there," he ordered, as the recording showed the human vessel absorbing a direct hit from their most powerful energy weapons. "Magnify that section of hull." The hologram zoomed in, showing the impact point at molecular resolution. The energy didn't disperse or reflect. It was somehow absorbed, integrated into the ship's systems through a process their science couldn't explain. In the science bay of the Varaxian command ship, Science Officer Taz Kalim dissected the scan data with increasing desperation. 3 of his assistants had already been executed for failing to explain the anomaly. He didn't intend to be the 4th. Impossible, he muttered, clawed fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. The material composition is standard durasteel alloy, nothing special. Yet it behaves like it's alive. A junior analyst, Vexlar, approached cautiously. Sir, I've been analyzing their communication patterns during the battle, and I've found something odd. Speak quickly, Taz Kalim snapped. There were none, Vexlar stated. No radio transmissions, no quantum comms, nothing. The vessel operated in perfect coordination, without any detectable communication between crew members. Taz Kalim's compound eyes widened. That's it? He pulled up the original scan data, isolating the energy signatures they had dismissed as inefficient power distribution. These patterns, they're not mechanical, they're neural. He overlaid the signatures with known brainwave patterns from previously conquered species. The match wasn't exact, but the similarities were unmistakable. There. He froze the playback, zooming in on a human crew member visible through a viewport. The implants at their temples, they're not decorative as we assumed. New analysis revealed the truth. The Defiance wasn't just a ship, but an extension of its crew's collective consciousness. The human neural interfaces allowed instantaneous reactions, creative problem-solving, and adaptability that no automated system could match. This changes everything, Taz Kalim whispered, pulling up historical records. The Malorians of Sector 9 mentioned this in their final transmissions before extinction. They called humans the thinking plague. We dismissed it as superstition, from a dying race. Meanwhile, in the medical bay, a captured human pilot awakened strapped to an examination table. Her flight suit was torn and bloodied, but her neural implant still pulsed faintly at her temple. Dr. Vexlar, chief xenobiologist, circled her with clinical fascination. Remarkable, he muttered, scanning her neural implant with a handheld device. The technology itself is actually quite crude. Quasi-organic circuitry, limited bandwidth. By our standards, it's practically Stone Age technology. The pilot, Lieutenant Sophia Diaz, laughed despite her pain. That's humanity's secret weapon, Doc. You built better guns. We built better people. Vexlar tilted his insectoid head. Explain. Your ships are extensions of your weapons, she said, her voice hoarse but steady. Our weapons are extensions of us. The difference is we can imagine, we can create, we can become something new in the middle of a battle. On the bridge, Admiral Kalzan received the preliminary report with growing horror. Their scanners had detected only hardware, completely missing the integration of human consciousness that made the vessel a living weapon. And worse, according to intercepted communications, the Defiance was merely a test bed. The real fleet was coming. Tell me, Admiral, Vorthax asked quietly, how do you fight an enemy whose weapons think? Kalzan had no answer. For the first time in 17 conquests, he felt the cold grip of fear. The Varaxian War Council convened in a chamber adorned with trophies from conquered worlds, skulls of alien leaders, fragments of destroyed defense systems, and holographic displays of burning planets. Once symbols of glory, they now seemed like omens of hubris. Admiral Kalzan entered last, his ceremonial armor noticeably missing several trophies lost during their hasty retreat. The gathered officers fell silent, mandibles clicking nervously, as he took his place at the head of the obsidian table. Our intelligence division has intercepted disturbing transmissions, Vorthax announced, projecting a hologram of Earth's orbital shipyards above the table. The image showed massive construction bays where vessels significantly larger than the Defiance were taking shape. The Defiance was merely a prototype, he continued, voice grave. 5 more vessels are nearing completion, each incorporating combat data from our encounter. They're calling them the Nemesis-class ships. Strategic simulations played out across the chamber's central table, projections showing the Varaxian fleet's destruction in hundreds of variations, none ending in victory. The alien officers watched in stunned silence as their empire's finest battle strategies failed against simulated human neural ships. The human neural integration makes their tactics unpredictable, explained fleet tactician Zurvak, a veteran of 12 extinctions. His exoskeleton bore ritualistic scars from each conquered world. Their ships adapt faster than our predictive algorithms can process. It's as if we're fighting an organic intelligence rather than a machine. Could we duplicate their technology? Asked Sub-Commander Nexval. Capture more specimens and extract the integration method? Taz-Kalim shook his head. Impossible with our current understanding. Their entire neural structure is alien to us. And worse. He hesitated, mandibles trembling. Speak freely, Kalzan ordered. We've analyzed the captured pilot's neural patterns. The integration isn't just technological, it's psychological. Their brains are structured for cooperation and adaptation in ways ours simply aren't. Our warriors are conditioned for conquest, not communion. Admiral Kalzan paced the chamber, tail lashing anxiously. The situation was unprecedented in 17 conquests. Then we must strike before their fleet mobilizes, he finally declared. Prepare the World Breaker. Gasps echoed through the council. The World Breaker, a weapon capable of shattering a planet's crust, had only been used twice in Varaxian history. Its use required authorization from the Eternal Emperor himself. The Emperor will never approve, Zurvak objected. The energy requirements would drain resources from 3 active conquest fronts. He will when he sees this, Kalzan projected. A new simulation showing the fall of the Varaxian homeworld to human forces within a year, if Earth wasn't eliminated immediately. We face extinction, not just defeat, extinction. Meanwhile on Earth, in a heavily shielded facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, General Maya Rodriguez led a delegation of world leaders through a cavernous hangar where massive ships hovered in anti-gravity cradles. The Defiance was our test case, she explained, stopping before a vessel twice as large. Its hull pulsed with subtle light patterns that mimicked neural activity. This is the real deterrent, UES Nemesis. While Defiance had a crew of 50 neural pilots, Nemesis can support 500 linked consciousnesses simultaneously. President Chen studied the vessel with apprehension. The neural integration technology had advanced faster than anyone anticipated, blurring the line between human and machine in ways that both thrilled and terrified him. And you're certain it can withstand their planet-killer weapon? Our intelligence suggests they're preparing to deploy it. Rodriguez smiled grimly. Mr. President, we're counting on it. Captain Reyes and the Defiance are already in position. In the darkness of the Kuiper Belt, the UES Defiance drifted silently, waiting. Inside, Captain Reyes and her crew entered deep neural synchronization, their minds becoming one with their vessel and with each other, preparing to spring a trap that would change the course of the war. The Varaxian Worldbreaker emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, its massive form eclipsing distant stars. Nearly a quarter the size of Earth's moon, the superweapon resembled a mechanical spider with a crystalline orb at its center, the planet-cracking gravitational focus. Escort vessels surrounded it in a defensive formation that had never been breached in 2 previous planetary extinctions. Admiral Kalzan stood aboard its command deck, surrounded by the Worldbreaker's elite crew, veterans of 100 planetary extinctions. His ceremonial armor had been replaced with battle gear, the trophies of conquest set aside for the grim work ahead. Begin targeting sequence, he ordered, his voice steady despite the weight of the decision. Prepare the gravitational lens for full dispersion. The crystalline orb at the heart of the Worldbreaker began to pulse with ominous light as it drew power from the ship's quantum singularity core. Energy readings climbed exponentially as the weapon prepared to tear Earth's crust apart with artificial gravity waves. Time to full charge? Kalzan demanded. 4 minutes, Admiral, the weapons officer responded. The gravitational lens is aligning. Admiral, the sensor officer called out suddenly, voice tight with concern. We're detecting an anomaly near Jupiter's 4th moon. Kalzan spun toward the tactical display. Define anomaly. unknown energy signature. It's fluctuating in ways our systems can't classify. Before Calzan could respond, space itself seemed to fold around the Worldbreaker. The U.S. Defiance materialized directly above them, having used a neural-piloted jump drive that Varaxian science had deemed theoretically impossible. The human vessel's hull rippled with patterns of light that mimicked synaptic firing. "Impossible," Calzan roared. "Fire all weapons." But the Worldbreaker's defenses found no target. The Defiance shifted and changed, its appearance blurring as the neural crew manipulated not just the ship's functions, but the Varaxians' perception of it. "They're inside our sensor grid," the tactical officer reported in panic. "Our targeting systems can't get a lock. They're inside our minds somehow." On the Defiance, Captain Reyes and her neural-linked crew operated in perfect harmony, their combined consciousness flowing through the ship's systems like quicksilver. Through specialized sensors, they could detect the electromagnetic patterns of Varaxian thoughts, predicting their actions microseconds before they occurred. "Execute Maneuver Hydra," Reyes commanded, her words simultaneously transmitted as pure thought to her crew. The Defiance fragmented into what appeared to be multiple vessels, a sensor ghost tactic that confounded the Varaxian targeting systems. One by one, the Worldbreaker's defensive batteries were neutralized with surgical precision. Dark energy beams sliced through weapon emplacements, each strike hitting exactly at structural weak points no scan should have been able to identify. A desperate gambit, Calzan ordered the Worldbreaker to redirect its planet-killing gravitational lens against the Defiance. "Sir, if we fire at this range, the backlash will destroy us too," the weapons officer protested. "Then we die with honor," Calzan snarled, slamming his armored fist down on the emergency override. The crystal orb at the heart of the Worldbreaker flared with blinding energy, then shattered as a concentrated dark energy beam from the Defiance struck its exact resonance frequency, a vulnerability no scan could have revealed, but that the neural collective had somehow intuited. Chain reactions tore through the Worldbreaker's systems. Explosions rippled along its segmented hull as the gravitational energies, now uncontained, began to tear the weapon apart from within. As Calzan staggered to an escape pod, his last view of the battle showed the seemingly modest Earth vessel, systematically dismantling the pride of the Varaxian fleet, not with overwhelming firepower, but with impossible precision and adaptability that no purely technological system could match. "This isn't warfare," he whispered as his escape pod ejected into space. "This is evolution." Admiral Calzan's escape pod drifted into the shadow of Deimos, Mars's smaller moon. The cramped interior, designed for emergency survival rather than comfort, housed the once proud commander and his surviving officers, Vorthax, Science Officer Taz Kalim, and a half-dozen others who escaped the Worldbreaker's destruction. Emergency lighting cast an eerie red glow across their chitinous features, reflecting in compound eyes now dim with shock and exhaustion. The Worldbreaker, the pinnacle of their civilization's destructive capability, had been neutralized like a child's toy. "Our subspace transmitter is functional," Taz Kalim reported, his nimble claws working a console that unfurled from the pod's wall. "I've linked to the Imperial archives. We can still access data while remaining undetected." Calzan nodded grimly. Blood ichor leaked from a gash in his exoskeleton, where a fragment of the command deck had struck him during their escape. "Show me everything about humans. Every encounter, every analysis, every myth. I want to understand what we're facing." The holographic display flickered to life, projecting centuries of accumulated data from species who encountered humans before their extinction. Records from the Malorians, the Zentari, the crystalline Ix, all telling similar stories before they disappeared from galactic history. "It's always the same pattern," Vorthax observed, mandibles clicking anxiously as he studied. The historical archives. Initial contact, assessment of human technology as primitive, then extinction of the contact species. "Not always extinction," Taz Kalim corrected, highlighting passages with his claw. "The Centauri Compact survived their war with humans. So did the Arcturian hegemony." What distinguishes those who survived? Khalzan demanded, leaning forward despite his pain. Taz-Kalim projected an analysis matrix. The Varaxian Empire has always practiced total xenocide, the complete eradication of rival species and the harvesting of their worlds. Those who survived conflict with humans followed a different path. The display shifted to show a timeline of human history, focusing on Earth's wars. The pattern was unmistakable. After conflicts, humans frequently absorbed elements of their former enemies' cultures, technologies, and even populations. They don't just conquer, Khalzan whispered, a revelation dawning. They incorporate. Their neural technology explains their unique evolutionary path, Taz-Kalim added, bringing up genetic analyses and brain scans. Their brains form connections differently than any species we've encountered, processing patterns and adapting faster than any evolutionary model would predict. Vorthax studied a genetic analysis with growing horror. According to this, humans experience more neural growth through adaptation in a single lifetime than Varaxians do in 10 generations. Their brains physically rewire themselves in response to challenges. More concerning, Taz-Kalim continued, is what happens when human neural networks connect. Their shared consciousness exceeds the sum of its parts exponentially. That's what we witnessed on their vessels, composite intelligence that could outthink our best strategic AIs. An alert sounded, a human transmission intercepted by their systems. Video footage from Earth showed the launch of their new warships, each larger and more advanced than the Defiants. Khalzan's breath caught as the camera panned across the hull of the lead vessel, the UES Nemesis. Its design incorporated unmistakable elements of Varaxian architecture, the segmented structure, the crystalline weapons nodes, but refined, improved. They're already adapting our technology, Khalzan realized, mandibles going slack with shock. They've studied us while we studied them. The final piece of data appeared, a xenobiologist's projection of what would happen if humans defeated the Varaxian Empire. Not extinction of their species, but extinction of their way of life. The humans would absorb what they found valuable and discard the rest, just as they had done countless times in their own history. We never stood a chance, Khalzan whispered. Not because they're stronger, but because they evolve while we merely conquer. Admiral Khalzan stared at the holographic projection hovering before him in the cramped escape pod. The face of Captain Elena Reyes, his conqueror, watched him with an expression he could not fully decipher. Human emotions remained alien to him, a complex language he had never bothered to learn during 17 campaigns of extinction. Admiral. Her voice was calm, almost respectful. We know you're receiving this transmission. We've been tracking your pod since you fled the Worldbreaker. Vorthax moved to destroy the communication device, but Khalzan stopped him with a gesture. If they know our location, they could have destroyed us already, he said quietly, the realization settling into his bones like cold lead. Reyes continued. The United Earth government has authorized me to offer terms. Despite your attempted genocide of our species, we are prepared to allow your remaining forces to withdraw beyond the Orion Arm. Your species may continue to exist, provided you never again enter human space. The officers exchanged incredulous looks. In 17 conquered systems, the Varaxians had never offered terms, only extinction. The concept of negotiation after victory was so foreign, it took moments for the translation systems to find appropriate Varaxian concepts. This is a trick, Vorthax hissed, his cybernetic eye whirring as it analyzed the transmission for deception. They can't possibly have the resources to enforce such terms. Our main fleet still holds position in the Betelgeuse sector. Taz-Kalim brought up a sensor display showing the 5 new Earth vessels now in orbit, each dramatically more advanced than the Defiants. According to these readings, they absolutely can. The neural network signatures on these ships are an order of magnitude more complex than what defeated the Worldbreaker. Khalzan studied Reyes's face, searching for signs of weakness or deception. Why would they spare us? He asked the human captain, genuine bewilderment in his voice. Reyes's expression softened slightly. Because extinction is wasteful, Admiral. Your species has existed for millions of years, developing technologies and perspectives we haven't encountered before. That has value. As specimens for study, Vorthax snarled. As potential allies, eventually, Reyes corrected. Humanity has fought itself far more than we've fought others. We've learned that former enemies often become our strongest friends. The transmission split, showing footage from human history, bitter enemies becoming trading partners, former war zones transformed into centers of cultural exchange. Khalzan watched in fascination as ancient human nations called Japan and United States evolved from devastating warfare to alliance within a single generation. You're offering mercy as a strategy, Khalzan realized, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. Reyes nodded. We're offering a choice, continued existence with constraints, or continued war until one side is gone. We'd prefer the former. You must understand, she added, her neural implants pulsing gently at her temples. It's not your ships that make you dangerous to us. It's your philosophy of total xenocide. Change that, and coexistence becomes possible. After she signed off, Khalzan faced his officers in silence. The escape pod seemed suddenly smaller, more confining, as the weight of the decision pressed down upon them. The choice before him would reshape the Varaxian Empire forever. The humans weren't offering surrender. They were offering evolution. The Emperor will never accept these terms, Vorthax insisted. We will be executed for even considering them. Extinction in battle is preferable to such dishonor. The Emperor hasn't seen what we've seen, Khalzan responded, reaching a decision that would echo across Varaxian history. He hasn't learned what we've learned. He activated the transmitter. Captain Reyes, this is Admiral Khalzan. We accept your terms. With one addition, we request observer status at your diplomatic proceedings. We wish to learn. On the bridge of the UES Nemesis, now Earth's new flagship, Captain Reyes smiled. Request granted, Admiral. Welcome to a new era. The Grand Hall of the Varaxian High Council, once decorated solely with trophies of conquest, now featured something unprecedented, a diplomatic section where representatives from other species could address the council directly. The skull collection that had dominated the chamber for millennia was gone, replaced by a crystalline monument representing interconnected worlds. 5 years had passed since the Worldbreaker's destruction. The old empire had fractured, reformed, as the Varaxian Confederation, still powerful, but fundamentally transformed. At its center stood Khalzan, no longer a military admiral, but the Confederation's first diplomatic overseer, his ceremonial armor now stripped of its grisly trophies and reforged with symbols of cosmic harmony. The human delegation arrives within the hour, he informed the assembled counselors, many of whom still regarded him with suspicion or outright hostility. The neural implant at his temple, a modified version of human technology, pulsed softly as he accessed data streams. Supreme Counselor Drevkon, the Emperor's representative, rose from his ornate throne. His ancient exoskeleton bore the ritualistic patterns of one who had personally overseen 12 planetary extinctions. This accommodation with humans remains controversial, Overseer, Drevkon stated, voice resonating with the traditional harmonics of imperial authority. Many still call you traitor. The warrior caste grows restless without conquest. They weren't there, Khalzan responded evenly. They didn't see what I saw. He activated a holographic display showing the latest intelligence on human expansion. Their territory had doubled in 5 years, not through conquest but through a network of alliances with species the Varaxians had dismissed as insignificant. The Malorians, once nearly extinct, now flourished under human protection. Even the crystalline Ix had emerged from hiding to join the growing Federation. Their neural integration technology has evolved beyond our comprehension, he explained. Ships operated by thousands of linked consciousnesses, weapons that adapt to any defense. But more concerning is this. The display shifted to show a human diplomatic vessel approaching Varaxian space. Its design was unmistakably influenced by Varaxian aesthetics, yet improved upon in ways their engineers were still struggling to understand. The segmented hull incorporated crystalline resonators that the Varaxians had believed were their exclusive technology. They're incorporating our designs already? Drevkon asked, alarmed. Not just our designs, Tazakalim interjects, now serving as chief science advisor. his exoskeleton now bearing human-inspired augmentations. Our perspectives. Their neural technology allows them to temporarily experience alien thought patterns. They don't just study us, they become us briefly to understand us. The council chamber falls silent at this revelation. An alert sounds. The human vessel has entered orbit. It's the UES Concordia, a diplomatic ship of unprecedented size and complexity. Its hull pulses with neural responsive materials that shift and flow like liquid thought. They name their vessels after abstract concepts, Calzan notes. Defiance, Nemesis, Concordia. It reveals much about their priorities. On the view screen, the Concordia deploys a shuttle. Among the human delegation emerging is a familiar face. Captain Elena Reyes, now Ambassador Reyes, accompanied by officers wearing neural interfaces far more advanced than those Calzan first encountered. Behind them walk representatives of 3 species the Varaxians had previously targeted for extinction, now thriving under human protection. Their terms are fair, he tells the council. Technological exchange, defined borders, cultural missions. They don't seek to destroy us, they seek to change us. And if we refuse, Drevcon challenges. Calzan gestures to a sealed container brought by his aide. Inside rests an ancient Varaxian artifact, a memory crystal recording the early history of their species, before conquest became their defining characteristic. Then we face not just military defeat but irrelevance, he answers. The humans don't eradicate their enemies, Counselor. Worse, they render them obsolete. As the human delegation enters the chamber, Calzan steps forward to greet them, aware of the historic significance of this moment. 5 years ago, his scans missed what made Earth's warships truly formidable: the human capacity for adaptation, integration, and evolution. Ambassador Reyes, he greets her formally. Welcome to the beginning of understanding between our peoples. Reyes smiles, her neural implants subtly glowing. Not just understanding, Admiral, evolution for both our species. Behind her, the delegation includes members of the formerly endangered Malorians, whose crystalline eyes reflect the light of a future neither extinction nor stagnation, but transformation.